So overall, I really did enjoy this lesson and giving it to my third grade class. I feel like it went very well as I was introducing area of an irregular polygon for the first time. Like I said before, we had reviewed area of a rectangle and introduced this topic. But as a result of this lesson, students furthered their learning on the area of the rectangle and then were introduced to area of an irregular polygon. For area in general, they learned that area equals length times width, and they were able to identify which side on a shape was the length and which was the width. It was a little difficult for them, but they finally got it. For area of an irregular polygon, they understood that the shape needed to be split into two different shapes. Then from there, you needed to find the area of the one shape and then the second shape. After you did that, you needed to add the two areas together to get the area of the entire thing. Something that they were kind of struggling with, and it's just something you just have to remember, is doing the units such as inches, centimeters, feet, and followed by squares. So inches squared, feet squared. I kept reminding them, and definitely they would keep forgetting, but it's something we're still working on. The day before, when I had introduced area of rectangles, students were not grasping areas, finding the surface. They were kind of thinking it was just the border, so I used little squares in order to represent area. I would do 5 across and 6 down and show them that if you multiplied 5 times 6, or if you filled that whole shape in, altogether the surface area would equal 30. This definitely helped them a lot. We did a lot of problems with those little squares in order to help them. Square markers, I guess, if you want to call them. With this lesson, I really liked that we had gone through area of a rectangle because it was easier for students to connect this with area of an irregular polygon. I am also glad that at the beginning of the lesson we went over a few area of a rectangle, because if they weren't understanding it, we would have stopped. But they were grasping it, so I was glad we could go forward. I was glad I watched the Khan Academy video, because it is very important to incorporate technology into lessons because students enjoy it, and especially with this one, it was good to show them that there was a different way to do the process of area of an irregular polygon. So during the video, whenever she, as in the narrator, would be talking, I made sure to stop and go back and make sure students were following along and understanding what she was talking about. Since I know the class pretty well at this point, I can tell by their faces whether they are really understanding or not, and it seemed pretty much that they were following along. But with the video, I wanted to make sure that they weren't just sitting there and watching it, they were actually grasping what was going on and understanding it. Since our class is split, we have to teach the small group in their big groups, so we teach them in the front, like you can see in the video. I really like this because I am able to watch the students and see what they are doing on their boards, and I am also able to make sure that they are really engaging in the conversation and paying attention to what is going on. This lesson and others I have taught really show me that students all learn very differently from one another. Some students were perfectly fine with going over area with just numbers, and some really needed us to go through with those squares to make sure that they understood it. Using the array was from the day before, like I had said, with area of a rectangular, but by using it, it allowed students to understand area on that day so that they could bring it with them on area of an irregular polygon. Since they are younger students, I debated using Khan Academy, but again, because I was able to stop it and explain it, I could make sure that they understood it. It is important for students to explore the different methods of finding solutions to problems, and I thought that's what Khan Academy would do, especially, and this is what we do with Number Talks, is make sure that the students are seeing that there's more than one way to get to an answer. In this video, when I asked for area of a rectangle, I needed to know that what 7 times 8 was. There was one student who was kind of struggling, couldn't quite figure out how to get there, but eventually, using her own roundabout way, she did find out that she did find the solution. So it's kind of hard. Sometimes you kind of want to hurry the student along, but it's good because once you sit there and let them think about it, they will get there eventually. If I were to reteach this lesson, I would have spread out my time a little better, because as always with teaching, there's never quite enough time, especially with having to teach a 4th grade small group. It gets kind of difficult to find the time to incorporate everything you need to for both classes. For the Khan Academy video, I might have had the students actually do the problem themselves with the video to ensure that they were really following along. And, that way I could actually make sure that they were fully understanding what was going on. Even though I did stop it, maybe having them do it on a piece of paper or their whiteboard would have been a little bit more helpful. But again, there's not enough time to do all of that, so I couldn't quite get to it. As a whole, I really enjoyed this lesson, and I enjoy working with the students. Every time I teach a lesson, I learn more, and I continue to look forward to keep learning more and how students interact with the teacher and how they learn and how many different ways there are for students to get to different solutions with even one topic. Thank you.